Our Computex 2025 coverage is made possible by Corsair, ASUS, Phanteks, G-Skill, Lee, Seasonic, Thermal Grizzly, Trix, Team Group, ANTEC, Pro Gamers Group, InWin, BitsPower, Be Quiet, Cable Mod, and Cougar. Welcome back, guys. I'm Stuart from GGF. It is Computex Day 3, and we are at the ANTEC booth. Now, it's been a little while since I've worked on an ANTEC chassis. If you're familiar with my channel, I've used the previous Striker, I've used the Torque, I've done so many builds in those crazy out there cases, but what we're looking at today from ANTEC are some more streamlined, I would say smart looking cases, and we have some sort of revamped of some older edition chassis. So if we walk along this way, and we can go over here to where they have I would say it's a pretty special case to me. When I was growing up, this original case was 20 years old, and that is all of these here. These are all the same. They have a few different color variations, but they're not sure what they're gonna end up launching. They're thinking about doing just a full black one first, but I'm really digging like the aqua blue here. They've got an army green. Now, I want you guys to try and guess what ANTEC case this could be a remake of 20 years ago. Have a think. Yes, this is a remake of the ANTEC 900. Now, I remember having one. My friends had some. I had a friend that had two. He bolted them together. He turned it into a massive workstation chassis. Now, if you're familiar with that one, this one is kind of, I wouldn't say it's similar because that was 20 years ago. A lot has changed, but it's trying to do similar type of aesthetics. I wouldn't say aesthetics, but similar in terms of the way it performed and how modular that original ANTEC 900 was. So they're actually just calling this the 900, nothing like a V2, anything like that, because I guess being a 900, a lot of people have probably forgotten what that case was. So I'm going to try and we might move over to this green one. It seems to be the one that is furthest apart so we can actually look inside, because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on such a small area here that it's going to be hard to get inside. So it's got a bit of an aluminum frame to it along here. This is just the external frame. The chassis inside is still a steel structure. These panels I thought were aluminum at first, but they are just steel. So what I'll do, I'll start pulling it apart so we can see if I can actually get into it. It actually took me a little bit. I had to cut that out. There's actually a real small little part here you can grip onto. Then that is held in via some clips. I might put this one over here so we don't obstruct this one. Actually, this is probably not a good one to show because this one, I didn't know that one didn't have any fans in it. This one actually comes with two pre-installed 200mm fans. Now, the original 900, I'm pretty sure it did come with fans as well, but that one was all about high airflow, and that's what the guys are doing with this one as well. So two pre-installed 200mm fans. They are on rails. You can move these rails. Can't go out anymore. 200 is the max, but you can go in more if you want to do something like 140, 120, maybe 180 up there, and they do have the markings for that. So that's pretty cool with that. We may go back over to this one now that we can see it. The top, I'll get some B-roll top down so we can see. Top comes off. I'm really digging the aesthetic on this front panel. A lot of companies are doing the finer, I would say mesh holes. This could probably be still classed as mesh. A lot of them are doing the finer mesh. I do like where it's like this, it's kind of larger. There are dust filters in all of these, and these are magnetic as well. I can just grab this. It is hard doing everything in one hand. Magnetic dust filters, easy to clean, and if we can see how fine that is right there. Now, the top, I'll get a top down, can do 360, 420. You need to move the sort of the front I/O. It still stays in, it just allows you to screw it in, and then the 420, if you're running a radiator, will go a little bit into this area. You can now see the front I/O is at the top, 2 USB, 1 Type-C. Obviously back 20 years ago on the original, there wasn't Type-C, and then we have the audio combo port. I probably would have liked maybe more than just the 2 USB Type-A on this one. Let me put this back if I can. That's back in. So 360 up the top. This whole bracket can come out, which is nice. There is a notch along the rear side here. They said to me that they're going to make it a little bit more of a notch because I have pretty small hands and it is very hard for me to get my fingers into this notch. There we go, I got that. So yeah, definitely a few tweaks that they are going to do. And then let me completely turn this around. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on some of these cases because there's not a whole heap of gear to cover at ANTEC like some of the other booths we've looked at have so much I've had to speed through it. Now we can just see how much real estate we have inside. Let me take this bottom one off. I'm wondering what your thoughts, whether this mesh should have been the same as like the top one, keep it all cohesive like that. They've gone with the different smaller hole design, but obviously this one doesn't really need as much airflow going through because there's holes in the bottom. So any fans on here will go straight up. Where there are direct fans going over the mesh, they've used the much larger square holes, and then the ones down here, they've gone with the more finer ones, because we all know the finer ones are a little bit more restrictive than like the larger square holes. Now that just pops out. Now, one interesting area with the PSU, we've seen other companies doing something similar. Your PSU can go two ways. It can go normally in the back, so cables shoot out towards the front, or they've got this IEC cable built in that has a 90-degree angle on it, so you can mount your PSU in this way, so you plug the power in this end, your cables shoot out the back, and that leaves all of this open. So that'll be better for anything like storage support if drivers can go down there, and better for these fans over here. So these are 120s on the bottom, so I can put a 240, I wouldn't say on the bottom, on top of the PSU shroud, and then the back as well will do the 120 or the 140, and also the whole back of the chassis once again follows this square mesh design. So it's really something a little bit different. Everything follows that design. The only different part is the side. For motherboard support, I can see straight away it's going to be ATX, EATX, probably workstation, SSI, all of that stuff, and I can see the standoffs go all the way over here. Back connect support, so all of your ROG boards, MSI, Aorus, I think they're the main three, will support all that. Cable grommets there, cable grommets down there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. No set sort of release date yet on, and also on price, but it'll be interesting to see how this goes and the development goes on this, especially things like the colors and so on. But I think that's it on this chassis. Now this case over here looks absolutely sick. It is the FLUX Pro, but ANTEC did launch this towards the end of last year, but you might be wondering, well, why are we covering it? You probably noticed this theme. It is the Noctua edition, but like always, I'll take the side panels off now. We can see how they come off. This one's a little bit tight here. There we go. We do have the Noctua on the bottom there, which is a nice touch. So we have the empty chassis here, of course, and then this one is the custom build by AK Mod. So if you don't know who AK Mod is, he is a master modder when it comes to pretty much doing anything related to a PC. He's got something like 21 builds of Computex. You've probably seen him at every booth. They look absolutely amazing. But yeah, he's done this one over here. But this one is the empty one, which we'll have a look at. So obviously being Noctua edition, you may have seen this briefly at the Seasonic booth we covered, but we have brown on the top, brown on the side, and it just blends in nicely. Things like price and release date, ANTEC is still in sort of negotiation with Noctua to finalize all of that, so nothing just yet, but I must admit it looks really stunning. We have the wood on the front. I'll definitely get some more B-roll of all of this. It's got ANTEC X Noctua etched into the wood, which is really nice. Let me take the front off. That just clips off. So we got the wood there, nice wave design. Now, in terms of the fans, you might be like, well, it looks nice with these decked out fans. It will come with all of these fans you see pre-installed. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Noctua 140s, and then 2 of the 120s down below. So the chassis is based exactly the same as the original FLUX Pro. The only difference is the Noctua touches, like the brown on the top, the Noctua branding up here near the I/O, and all of the cable grommets are brown as well. Now, I think it might have been a bit of a mission trying to get everything to match so perfectly, because obviously when you're doing different materials, plastics, metals, it's hard to get the color cohesive against everything, but all of this just matches perfectly. Even the rubber on these cable grommets, they probably went through a lot of trial and error to get this right, but this is the case here. Obviously, it isn't back connect because I think this was last year, so maybe it wasn't that popular then. Something they could have done is add back connect on this chassis just to give you that little bit of flexibility for different type of motherboards. But that's it there. Quick shot of the build. We got a lot going on here, but we can see how nice this is. Only interesting thing here, it's not running a Noctua GPU, but I'm sure AK Mod had a reason for that. He probably only had a very, very short time to make this, but this build looks super, super stunning. Another special case that I remember growing up with was the ANTEC P180. Now, I'm not really going to talk too much about this one. I'm just going to show it right here. This is a very, very early prototype, so they're kind of going back to where their roots were with the 900, the P180, and this is a complete redesign of that chassis. I remember that one. Crazy case that was very, very popular back 20 or so years ago. They didn't really want me to talk about this because it is very early prototype and it will probably change quite a bit. This one over here, the Performance M1, very, very popular last year. The ITEX chassis, more of an SFF. I'll take this off like so. Nothing has changed here, but what the guys of ANTEC have done is they've made it so you can run it vertically. So they have this base that you can purchase off them when it is available, and that's the only thing that has changed on this chassis. So instead of sitting back down, whichever way it's meant to go, let me see, like this, so it normally sits down like that, they've added this base that you can stick it on. It's going to elevate it off the ground. It's going to allow you to plug in all your ports, and it just gives it a really cool aesthetic being a tower chassis like this now, because normally when you have a case on your desk, it's going to consume quite a lot of real estate like this. It's going to have the length and the depth, whereas when you go vertically, you don't normally have too many restrictions when it comes to height. So the footprint on this case is very, very narrow, very small. It's like that wide and also a little bit wider than my finger. So very, very small chassis overall once it's in its vertical mode. Moving on to some power supplies here. Now you might be thinking, hey, this design is similar. That's because I think from the previous 5 or so years, Seasonic has been the OEM for a lot of the ANTEC units. I believe it's been their signature series. This one here, it basically has the exact same aesthetic as the Seasonic. They've just gone with a more stealthy black look, and I really do dig that nice matte black. Now these units are signature 2200 platinum and also the signature 2500 platinum. Now this one is a absolute beast. You can see here 4 12-volt high power. It's all the latest ATX 3.1, and it'll also come with that insane warranty that Seasonic has as well. But this one is a little bit different. I know that the rest here looks like Seasonic OEM, but then we have the different peripheral connectors than what I'm used to seeing on a Seasonic, because I do use a lot of Seasonic power supplies. And then if I can get a side shot of this, I'll also get B-roll like always. Get a side shot of this. We can see the design is a little bit different than what we're seeing. And then if I move this around, it's quite heavy. We have the signature 2500 watt. But yeah, I think that's about it on these units. They're probably all based on the Seasonic Prime, TX, maybe the PX. The TX is the titanium, so they're based on the Prime PX for the platinum. And I think that is pretty much it. There's no cables I can show you, which would have been good to see if there are any different cables, but these are the 2 main units they have here on show. ANTEC last Computex launched the Core HS handheld. That one is a bit behind me to my right. Now I don't really want to talk about that. They have a new version. It's got the updated CPU. That's the only bit that's changed, but I do want to talk about the Core Micro. Now I don't really use handheld consoles. It's not really something that I'm too interested in, but I'm going to take a look at this for you guys anyway, because ANTEC wanted me to take a look at it, and I think it might sort of be interesting to some of you guys. Now, this thing, to me, first thing I saw, it looks like a retro Game Boy. Now, believe it or not, I never had a Game Boy growing up. I pretty much went straight into PCs, but this one here gives me the same resemblance. It's got a bunch of sort of controls, buttons all over it. It's got your L1, L2 at the top, R2, R1. It's got buttons up down the bottom here. It's got dual D-pads. It looks very, very nice and clean, and it is quite affordable. Apparently the guys said at ANTEC, it's already on their web store online, so you can have a look at that. You can even grab it. So the retail is $200 US. So definitely, to me, I don't think that's too bad. Now for some of the specs, it's a 3.5 inch IPS, 960 by 640. So I wouldn't say it's the highest resolution, but it is a pretty small screen. You've got to remember, this is $200. So this is running a Android-based OS. Now, the Core HS, their sort of flagship model, is running Windows 11. This is an Android one. Does it have touch? It's got touch. I can see it's got like the Play Store, it's got Chrome, everything in there, and it is a nice little unit. For the processor, it's a MediaTek Helio G99. For the memory, 8 gig and 256 gigabytes of storage. Battery is 2600 milliamps. Just want to see if it's got any expandable. There we go, micro SD card slot on the side. Different colors. We have the black. I do like the silver one, this one here, and then we also have sort of an anodized red little unit there. But I'll get some shots of me in both hands holding it. Obviously with this microphone I can't do that. USB-C charging. In terms of battery life and all that, you probably have to hit up these specs on the website. But just something a little bit different coming out of ANTEC. We know we had the other handheld console, but I think this small one is pretty neat. Just something to throw in your bag. To me, I would probably go with something like this. I'm not really into the whole console thing, so I wouldn't fork out on their flagship one, but just a smaller one that I can have a quick game or two would be pretty sweet. So that is it at the ANTEC booth. We covered those few new cases, the PSUs, those handhelds. Now, I was really expecting something like a crazy open air chassis. I want to know your thoughts. Did you want to see something like that, like an addition to the Striker or the Canon, something like that? Because I've done so many builds in that. I would love to see a refresh design on those. But anyway, like always, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank ANTEC for supporting my Computex coverage, and we'll see you in the next one.